What if I told you the most dangerous animals on Earth aren't the ones who attack, but the ones who defend? What if survival wasn't about being the biggest or strongest, but the strangest? From toxic mist to bone-breaking armor, these creatures turn defense into a deadly science. So, how exactly do they do it? Welcome to the top 10 deadliest animal defense systems and the science that makes them so terrifying. Each one is a masterclass in survival. But which defense is the most unstoppable of all? Is it the one that blinds you, suffocates you, or shuts down your heart in minutes? Or the one so sneaky you never even know you've been hit? Let's find out. What if your body was a fortress of spikes, always armed, always ready? That's the secret of the porcupine, a creature that turns defense into pure pain. Now, we've all heard that porcupines shoot their quills. But is that really true? Not quite. They don't fire them like arrows. Instead, when a predator gets too close, the porcupine lashes its tail, and the quills detach on contact. Sounds harmless. Think again. Each quill is lined with microscopic barbs that act like hooks, digging in deeper with every movement. The harder the predator struggles, the worse the wound becomes. So how many quills are we talking about? Up to 30,000. A walking arsenal. And here's the mind-bending part. Porcupines themselves never get stabbed. Their skin has evolved to resist penetration from their own weapons, making them immune to accidental self-injury. But it's not all doom and gloom. Some indigenous cultures once used porcupine quills as natural surgical needles, proof of just how sharp and useful they are. What if your body was a living power plant, able to electrocute anything that touched you? That's the reality of the electric eel, one of nature's most shocking defenders. Despite its name, the electric eel isn't actually an eel at all. It's a type of knife fish. But what makes it extraordinary is its ability to generate up to 600 volts of electricity. Enough to stun a horse, knock out a predator, or even stop a human heart under the right conditions. So how does it do this? Hidden inside its body are thousands of special cells called electrocytes, stacked like batteries in a giant biological circuit. When the eel feels threatened, these cells discharge in perfect unison, unleashing a massive jolt of electricity. It can fire short bursts to confuse or long shocks to paralyze. And it's not just for defense. Electric eels use smaller pulses, like radar, sending out weak shocks to navigate murky waters and locate prey before delivering the big strike. Researchers have used electric eels to inspire designs for self-charging medical implants and even new battery technology. So if this living taser can defend itself with raw electricity, what happens when a snake can blind you with a toxic spray aimed straight at your eyes? What if your enemy didn't need to touch you to take you down? That's the terrifying reality of the spitting cobra, a snake that turned its venom into a long-range weapon. Unlike most snakes, which rely on biting to inject venom, the spitting cobra has evolved forward-facing fangs. When threatened, it contracts powerful muscles around its venom glands, ejecting the venom as a fine mist or jet. And here's the terrifying part. It doesn't just spray randomly. The cobra actually aims for the eyes, and it almost never misses. So what happens when it hits? The venom is a mixture of cytotoxins and neurotoxins, capable of burning eye tissue and causing excruciating pain. In some cases, it can even lead to permanent blindness. Think of it like pepper spray, but dialed up to lethal levels. How accurate are they? Some cobras can spit venom over 8 feet, adjusting their aim mid-spray. It's not panic, it's precision. And predators learn quickly. Mess with this snake, and you may lose your vision. And here's a fun twist. Different species of cobras evolved this defense independently, proving just how effective it is. What if your best defense was literally spilling your guts on purpose? That's exactly how the sea cucumber survives in the ocean, and it's as strange as it sounds. When threatened, the sea cucumber contracts its body violently and ejects its internal organs out of its rear end. Yes, you heard that right. It shoots out sticky, toxic guts that entangle, confuse, and even poison predators like fish and crabs. Imagine a smoke bomb, but made of your own intestines. So why doesn't this kill the sea cucumber? Because those organs aren't vital, not permanently at least. Sea cucumbers can regenerate their insides in just a few weeks. It's like hitting the reset button on your own body, sacrificing parts to save the whole. And here's where it gets nastier. Some species also release holothurian toxins, a chemical strong enough to kill small animals nearby. It's not just a distraction. It's chemical warfare mixed with self-disassembly. Predators quickly learn to leave these bizarre creatures alone. Who wants a mouthful of slimy, toxic intestines? So if the sea cucumber can sacrifice its guts and live, what about an animal that can vanish into smoke and shadows without losing anything at all? What if you could vanish in plain sight, then throw down a smoke bomb for good measure? That's the daily escape plan of the octopus, the ocean's undisputed master of disguise. The octopus has 2 defense systems that work in perfect harmony. First is its ability to camouflage. Beneath its skin are specialized cells called chromatophores, which expand and contract to change color instantly. But it doesn't stop there. Layers of iridophores and leucophores reflect and scatter light, letting the octopus mimic not just colors, but even textures and shadows. A smooth pebble, a coral branch, even another animal, it can become them all in seconds. But what happens if camouflage fails? That's when the octopus deploys defense number 2, ink. This isn't just a visual smokescreen. It contains chemicals like tyrosinase that irritate predators' eyes and dull their sense of smell. It's confusion in liquid form, giving the octopus precious seconds to escape. And here's the kicker. Despite being masters of color change, octopuses are actually colorblind. They rely on polarized light detection and their incredible skin to pull off illusions better than any artist. Some species, like the mimic octopus, take it even further, impersonating up to 15 different creatures depending on the threat. But if disguises are clever, imagine a defense so foul-smelling it makes predators never want to try again. What if your best defense wasn't claws or armor, but being so revolting that no one ever wanted to mess with you twice? That's the strategy of the skunk, one of the most infamous animals on Earth. We all know the reputation. Skunks stink. But what actually makes that spray so unbearable? The secret is in its chemistry. Skunk spray contains thiols, sulfur-based compounds also found in rotten eggs and decaying flesh. Just a few drops can create a stench detectable over a mile away. And it's not just the smell. The spray is fired from specialized anal glands, and skunks can aim with remarkable precision, up to 10 feet away. A direct hit to the eyes causes searing pain and temporary blindness, forcing predators to back off immediately. But here's the clever part. Skunks don't use their spray right away. Producing it takes days to replenish, so they rely on intimidation first, stomping their feet, hissing, and raising their iconic striped tail like a warning flag. Only when those signals fail do they unleash the chemical attack. The result? Even bears learn to avoid them. Once is enough. But if foul odors are powerful, imagine a defense that turns your entire body into a living tank. What if survival didn't depend on fighting or fleeing, but simply on becoming untouchable? That's the genius of the armadillo, nature's little living tank. Instead of venom or stink, the armadillo relies on its armor plating. Its body is covered in osteoderms, bony plates fused together and coated in keratin, the same tough material that makes up our fingernails. These plates overlap like medieval armor, protecting the back, head, and tail. But here's the trick. When danger strikes, some armadillo species can roll into a near-perfect sphere. Their vulnerable belly and limbs are tucked safely inside, leaving predators with nothing but a rock-hard ball to chew on. Jaguars, coyotes, even wolves often give up in frustration. Why doesn't every animal evolve this trick? Because heavy armor comes with trade-offs. Armadillos aren't fast runners, and their eyesight is poor. Rolling up is their gamble. It costs energy, but the payoff is almost guaranteed safety. And here's a fun surprise. Some armadillos actually bounce slightly when predators drop them, sometimes rolling downhill to make an escape. It's proof that sometimes the best way to win is simply not to lose. But what if your defense wasn't hard or heavy at all? What if it was a balloon full of poison? What if the cutest little fish in the sea was secretly one of the most dangerous? That's the reality of the pufferfish, a creature that combines comedy with catastrophe. When threatened, the pufferfish inflates by gulping water, or sometimes air, swelling up to 3 times its normal size. This sudden transformation makes it almost impossible for predators to swallow. And if that wasn't enough, many species sport sharp spines that suddenly jut outward, turning the fish into a floating sea urchin. But here's the kicker. It's not just about being bigger. Pufferfish are armed with tetrodotoxin, one of the deadliest natural poisons known to science. How deadly? A single fish contains enough toxin to kill 30 adult humans. The poison shuts down nerve signals, causing paralysis and, in severe cases, respiratory failure. There's no antidote, so why doesn't the pufferfish poison itself? Its own nerve channels have evolved immunity to tetrodotoxin, making it completely safe from its own weapon. Interestingly, the toxin doesn't even come from the fish itself. It's produced by symbiotic bacteria living in its body. Despite the risk, humans still eat it as the delicacy fugu in Japan, prepared only by licensed chefs. What if the deadliest defense in the ocean was also the hardest to see? That's the nightmare of the stonefish, a master of camouflage and pain. At first glance, it looks like a lump of rock, blending perfectly into the sea floor. But step too close, or worse, step directly on it, and you'll unleash one of the most excruciating venoms known to humans. So how does it work? The stonefish has 13 dorsal spines, each connected to venom glands. When pressure is applied, those spines inject venom deep into the skin. The pain is immediate, overwhelming, and often described as so intense that victims beg to have the limb amputated. In severe cases, the venom can cause shock, paralysis, and even death. What makes this defense even more terrifying is its ambush strategy. The stonefish doesn't need to chase or fight. It just waits, perfectly disguised, until an unlucky predator, or human swimmer, makes the first move. Anti-venom exists today, but before it was developed, fatalities were common. Even now, divers worldwide consider it one of the most dangerous fish alive. So if a fish that looks like a rock can kill with a single step. What happens when the ocean itself hides an invisible minefield of deadly tentacles? What if the most dangerous creature in the ocean wasn't a shark or a crocodile or even an octopus, but something you could barely see at all? That's the reality of the box jellyfish, a ghost-like predator that drifts silently through tropical waters. With a bell that looks almost invisible and tentacles stretching up to 10 feet long, the box jellyfish is nearly impossible to spot. But those tentacles are lined with millions of cnidocytes, microscopic harpoon cells primed to fire at the slightest touch. Each one injects venom that attacks the heart, nervous system, and skin all at once. What happens when you're stung? First comes unimaginable pain, burning, searing agony that spreads through the body. In severe cases, the venom can trigger cardiac arrest in as little as 5 minutes. Survivors often suffer weeks of muscle pain, nausea, and a condition known as Irukandji syndrome. So how do you survive? The best emergency treatment is vinegar, which can neutralize unfired stingers, plus immediate medical help. But even then, time is critical. And here's a twist. Unlike most jellyfish, the box jellyfish actually has 24 eyes and can actively swim, dodge, and even hunt. It's not just drifting. It knows exactly where it's going. Silent, invisible, lethal. No wonder it tops our list. So here's the question for you. If you had to survive in the wild, which of these defenses would you pick? The porcupine's wall of spikes? The electric eel's living taser? The sea cucumber's gut bomb? The stonefish's venom spines? Or the jellyfish's invisible sting? Tell us in the comments. I can't wait to see which one you choose. Loved this deep dive into nature's weirdest defenses? Then make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because we've got more wild science breakdowns every single week. Next up, how snakes see your body heat, even in total darkness. Thanks for watching, and remember, in nature, the strangest defenses are often the deadliest.